Literate pornography and mindless violence. It's Sanctuary of Reality, my comic review series. Time now for Cerebus, issue 179, the 29th chapter of Mothers and Daughters. Victor Reed writes a lurid tale of Astoria being tied up and tortured. When Milieu comes for a visit, and he informs her of his current predicament, namely, writing for Vertigo Horse instead of writing for himself, writing for Vertigo Horse. Their version of Ascension, about the lifetime of two sisters and how it relates to Cerebus ascending, is no longer being done. Victor tells a series of lies to try to appease her concerning this change. Will Milieu be able to overlook his inability to stand up for himself and his creative freedom? Astoria prepares to leave, but first has some things to say. Cerebus doesn't want to hear it. He wants no more talking. So either she leaves quietly or dies quietly. She deflates his bloodlust by telling him that he's a hermaphrodite. Apparently, the pouch where his penis is stored when not using it is actually a vagina. She reveals Siren thinks that he can impregnate himself and create another aardvark, in fact, a race of aardvarks, which Siren is unable to do, having only had a human son. Astoria reveals that when Cerebus raped her back in Church and State, she was at her most fertile and intentionally provoked him to do so in an effort to try to get pregnant with his child. She realizes Poe was correct. She only ever wanted power for power's sake, and how most of her life has been one big vendetta against Siren, from marrying Lord Julius to using Cerebus in the Roach, and it's gotten her nowhere. Power over others is an illusion. You can only control yourself. Cerebus asks where she'll go now, and inspired by recalling her youth a few issues ago, she sets out to build her own aviary home / church-like place and possibly play chess. Before she leaves, Astoria has one last suggestion for Siren and Cerebus. What is it? Meanwhile, while Snuff listens, Swoon has evolved into K. Sarah Sarah, whose book gives away all endings of all stories. What is the first revelation she has to impart? Apparently I was wrong a few issues ago when I said there were no more Sandman parodies to come. This one introduces K. Sarah Sarah, who is a parody of Destiny from Sandman. And of course the terminology being the French term que sera sera, which I think there's a song about that probably explains what it means, so I won't reiterate the meaning of it. But needless to say, I found it interesting that in the issue where we find out Cerebus is a hermaphrodite, it's the same issue where the Roach turns into a woman. So I don't know, it's kind of serendipitous in a way. I forget when it's revealed. I think it's sometime during the Minds phone book. But Sir Garrick, from the in-between story, what happened between issues 20 and 21, is actually the human son of Siren that is mentioned in this issue. Pretty much the only importance that he has to the series is that he exists mainly because Siren was trying to have an aardvark baby and only had a human baby. And Siren is the big matriarch of the book. And for her to be the matriarch, she has to have a kid. So that's pretty much the entirety of his importance. But he will be in the series finale, if that's any consolation, for a cameo. So there you go. Speaking of that next phone book of Minds, we will find out in that particular storyline if Cerebus can actually bear children. And can he impregnate himself and create a race of aardvarks? You will find out. So look forward to that, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing. This is it for Astoria. What happens to her after this issue? Well, some people believe that, like with Swentius Poe, she dies during the final ascension that's coming up. But call me naive, call me an optimist, call me maybe. I happen to think that she got away in time and set out what she intended to do with the rest of her life. As far as the book is concerned, that's as true a thing as anything else could possibly be for her fate. So, whatever you want to believe, go for it. The book's most prominent female character actually gets a happy ending. She's able to break the cycle of her life and manages to do what the main character of the series can't. Astoria learns and grows, and even if she dies immediately upon leaving, she still managed to be at peace at the end. Next time, who will draw first blood in the battle of Siren versus Cerebus?